Welcome, welcome. Give it a few minutes for people to show up on in here. So you guys are getting a little toasty down there in Texas, aren't you? Oh, your mic's not working.
Sorry. I'm usually, I use this part of it because if I use the little mouse, I'll click things on the screen. And so, yeah, I've been doing this with the podcast. It's easier to do it at the mic and turn it on and off with the podcast. And I forgot that I did that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good idea though.
Yeah. It's just
because unfortunately, when you're on these type of things, people can actually turn your mic on and turn your mic off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to have control of it right here. And that way I'm not clicking buttons down here. So that's what Eric uses anyway when we're on our live. He'll click the mic itself and he'll ask me questions so that people, if we're in this portion of it, it's not like I can't tell that he's doing it down here. I can see it here though. So he's like real discreet about it. So he can ask me questions and he'll like lean in and go, did they just say such and such? And I'm like, yes, it's okay. So he's not as discreet about it though. He's usually see his mouth moving more. But yeah, we're getting hot down here. It's definitely been hot.
Yeah, it's a little hot everywhere though.
It is.
It's in the 90s here. But we've been having this weather in the 80s, upper 80s and 90s, and we're not supposed to have it until next month.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, we were recording last night for the podcast that I'm on, and I was with my friend Alicia over in Iowa. She's Country Mama Musings up in Iowa. And it was in the 80s still at 9:00 at night where she is. And she's like, this is not normal.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I mean, it was still like in the mid to upper 90s for us, but yeah, it's really getting hot everywhere. It's kind of freaky.
Yeah. Autumn Leaf, thank you for becoming a member. I really appreciate it.
Yay.
What was I going to say now? Oh, go ahead and go ahead and explain to everybody what your channel's. Forgot to turn that off.
I love it. It's so cute.
Tell everybody about your channel and what you guys do.
Okay. So I am only half of Bland's Promised Land Ranch. Well, I'm only a part of it. You know, my husband and I run the channel, but my kids are a big part of it too. So about 9 years ago, we moved from Maryland. We lived in Maryland our whole life, and we picked up everything. We had 7 kids at the time, and we moved to Texas. We live on 10 acres in Texas here. And when we moved here, we knew we wanted to give our kids more opportunities. We wanted to grow our own food. When I was in Maryland, I kind of outsourced my garden and kind of outsourced the idea. I wanted to have chickens. So I lived in a townhome. I couldn't do that when I was there. So I actually asked my dad, who had a small backyard. I said, can I use your backyard and have some chickens? And I did. And I asked my in-laws and I said, hey, can we use your backyard and can we have a garden? And they said, sure. So it was really cool that we could do that when we were there. So when we moved here about 9 years ago, we jumped right in. And my husband was like, Eric was like, well, we're in Texas now. We need to get a horse and some cows. And I was like, you're crazy. We like literally came from like almost the city, because we only lived about 20 minutes outside of Baltimore, Maryland. So if you've ever been around big cities, Baltimore it's a pretty good sized city, and it's not safe. It's not like the best place in the world. And he worked like downtown. So this was new for us. And so we jumped right in. We got a horse, we got some cows. The horse very quickly went away after that. He lasted for about 1.5 years here. We're not horse people. But so we started raising our own meat, growing our own food, and yeah, it's been a blast. So our channel is basically us just trying to encourage people to do the same thing, live your dreams. If you're wanting to garden, go for it. And here's how we can help. We have some garden videos, and if you want to can your own foods, here's some canning videos. I mean, I kind of do whatever I can to just show what I'm doing. We have another baby now since we lived here. So we have 8 kids now, and he's on a baby. He's not a baby anymore. He's 7, so I gotta stop calling him my baby. But, we have a large family, and since we've moved here, our extended family is down here now too. So we've got my in-laws here. I have
Oh,
my
so they
sister.
moved down too.
They did. As soon as we
Oh,
told my mother-in-law we were leaving, she was like, "All right, well, you're not leaving without me." And so they actually live on the property with us, which is awesome. So my father-in-law is in quite a few videos of ours, helping my husband on videos and all kinds of things. He's our repair guy down here. So yes, Be Charming said they're always your babies. They really are. And then my sister moved here right after we did. She moved down here with her husband, and now my dad just moved down here about almost 2 years ago now. So I'm like slowly pulling people down from Maryland to Texas. But it's been really lovely having people down here, especially because I want my family to be a little bit more free, if that makes sense. I
yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
Maryland doesn't feel like a free place to me.
There's
Like,
a big difference in the two.
huge difference.
Just states.
Yeah, it's just different. And the things, the opportunities my family has here are so much greater. And the fact that because we did live in the city area, there's some gorgeous, beautiful places in Maryland that are more country, and you can
Oh,
have,
yeah.
you can live more of this lifestyle. But to be able to farm here and to watch my kids grow and be able to, maybe, I don't even know if they can still afford places to live here, but to be able to branch out and find opportunities here. Plus, I provide for my family. I haven't bought my own beef, or I haven't bought beef or pork at the grocery store in probably 3 years now, 4 years maybe. And that's a huge deal for us. So
Oh, yeah.
it's really nice to be able to provide a lot of our own food. And so that's kind of what our channel's about.
Better
Just
food.
exactly. All the things that we're doing here. We raise our own rabbits, and we get a little slack for meat rabbits, but it's nice,
I hear you on that one.
But it's one of those things that I want to be prepared and know that, if something happens with a job, it doesn't always have to be this whole big, everything hits the fan opportunity thing. Everybody's always worried about that, but it's not going to be that. Not necessarily, not for everybody. There's so many more things that happen more at a more regular basis, if you think about it, right? This, the big everything hitting the fan is one event. Usually it's like one big thing that everything just goes crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, people have these problems or these issues in their life all the time that are their own everything's hitting the fan moments. And I want to know that my family's set up for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, living and raising on my farm and doing those things, it means so much to me. And I homeschool my kids, so I know what they're being taught, and I'm encouraging them each day to continue to grow and learn. So yeah, it's a whole menagerie of things. We're just I'd
be so scared to send my kids to school, not because of the stuff that happens. It's because what they're teaching them.
Yeah.
And you have no choice.
Yeah.
Carol Z, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. That's cool. No, I'm not near the border. I am actually up by Dallas. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm as close to the border as I'm willing to get.
From Jake, are you?
No, we're not we're not far from Jake at all. We've been over to Jake several times. We have gotten together.
Texas in the back 20, by the way.
Yes, Nunny Texas in the back 20. He is awesome.
Call him Jake.
Yeah. Well, my kids were like, "You're going to go see Jake from State Farm?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's who we're going to see." And no, he's amazing. The first time we went to go see him a few years ago, we went to go meet him. And we just laugh when we tell the story because he reached out to Eric and was like, "Hey man, I got a few things. If you're interested in some turkeys, I've got some if you want to come see me." And Eric was like, "Monica, I don't know this dude. Like, he lives off grid. He could be weird." So Eric, of course, is, he's carrying just because, he's like, "I don't know who this guy is." So we immediately, like, as soon as we pulled up to his place, he like pinged the kids and left our location ping so the kids knew where we were if we didn't show back up alive in 24 hours. And like the minute I got there, I was like enamored. I was like, I love this guy.
He keeps trying to get me move to Texas.
I'm telling you. But it was just so cute because Eric kept leaning over. He was like, "Settle down, Monica. Stop being weird." And I'm like, I'm not being weird. I was so starstruck. I've never been starstruck by people. Honestly, like people don't impress me. I mean, they do. People that do things impress me. Jake impresses me because he's like an amazing guy. So
Oh
he
yeah.
impressed me and I immediately was like starstruck and I was like, I love it here. This is amazing. And he was like, hey, you want to do this? You want to do this? And it was the coolest experience. And I just had such a good time meeting him. And we've been friends ever since. Him and Ann and the girls, they came up
Yeah.
and they were here a couple times. And it was just, yeah, it's been really great. It's been really fun to get to know them as a family. So yeah, you should definitely move to Texas. It's better here. It is better. I can say that because I'm not an official Texan, so you can like take my word for it, right? Because like everybody that's a real Texan that says come to Texas, can't trust them because they're already like it's like brainwashed into their
Yeah.
brain that Texas is the best. But when you're not from Texas and you say it right there, that's all you need to know.
Yeah. My son was well, he's still in the army, but he was stationed in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And when he first got down there, he was like, "Oh, we should get property down here and everything." And then about a year later, he says he hates it. Well, he's on the the other side of Oklahoma to where it's really windy and stuff. And I said, well, if we go a little bit further, we go south and go into Texas. He says, it's all desert. I don't want to live in a desert. I said, it's not.
Yeah, way out west, it's definitely deserty
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Like Eric went out to Lubbock the one time for work, and he was like, "It's like windstorms the whole time. It's just
Yeah.
dirt everywhere." And I was like, "Yeah, but that's the glorious thing about this world. It's just all kinds of climates here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the things." Now, have you always lived where you live, or did you not
Oh,
live in Texas? You lived in Texas for a while.
I did for a bit because
Yeah,
that's where my
when you were
dad and
young.
mom, yeah.
Yep.
And that was in Dallas too. So
Yeah.
I don't remember much of it, very little actually, but
Yeah.
I've been through there many times. So
That's cool.
um, hitchhiked and drove through it quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, I am very happy that the Lord moved us here because we didn't have any ties really here. We didn't know anybody here when we moved here. And I know 100% that when we moved here, it was all the Lord. God did everything because it was like seamless after he, with just getting a job transition, all the things. Because it's not like my husband's in the military. He was with the same company. He does engineering. He does building engineering. So we're not any type of government contract work. It's not anything that normally people transfer from space to space. So it was just so weird the way everything worked. God just did everything for us, moved us here flawlessly, and it was just perfect. So, I'm hoping we can stay here forever. I think if Eric had his brothers, he'd be moved somewhere like Montana, or I'm looking at my map. There's a map above here. He'd be moving to like Montana or somewhere that gets cold and gets warm and all of it. So,
Yeah. That's what everybody thinks that Montana, it's always cold up there. It gets hot, really hot. And
yeah,
like Wyoming, all that whole strip right there, it's in the hundreds.
yeah. Yeah. He was
It's
like, he
crazy.
keeps saying he's going to go visit the Dakotas. He's like, I'm just going to go to the Dakotas. We can live up there. And I'm like, you're crazy. You can go in the summertime. If you go in the summer, I'll go with you. But if you're going in the winter, I'm out. Done.
Oh,
I'm not interested. I don't like
yeah.
the cold. It makes my bones hurt.
South Dakota, it's nice except for wintertime, especially
Yeah.
when you have to shovel if you're bad and you have to shovel walkways. Oh,
Yes. Well, when we lived in Maryland, we've been through blizzards. My fifth kid, he was born during the blizzard in 2010. We had 2 blizzards back to back, and I literally just had him in the middle of a blizzard. They were like, "You can't go home. You need to stay because it's bad out there." And so I was like, "Okay, fine." So I mean, we're used to shoveling snow and doing those things. We've been through nasty stuff. That was part of his deal. But I like the heat. Like she said, Susie D said, love Texas. Love your winter summers. You can fry an egg on your head. My son, my 13-year-old, took 2 eggs last week, took 2 of them outside when it was, I think the heat index was like 115 where we are. He took 2 eggs, put them outside on the sidewalk. I mean, on the actual asphalt outside of our yard. And he put it out there. He said, "I'm going to fry eggs out here, Mom." And I was like, I don't know that that's going to work. Needless to say, it did not work. I said, maybe try a frying pan with it next time. He's like, "Well, I can't just lay a skillet in the street." And I'm like, well, smart kid. But I think that's a science experiment he wants to try. So you never know.
Now, I watched one of your guys' videos, and I'm really surprised it actually made it. Because if I posted it, I would be very in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But you show, well, not you, but show how to butcher a rabbit.
Yes.
And how that got on there.
Okay, so I think it's because we didn't show the process itself, because he put like a black spot on there and said you're not going to see the actual process of ending the animal, or the original, some of the I think some of the blood was kind of, but he had like an explicit warning. So that one I allowed to get monetized. I did go for, I have a pig castration video too. I can't believe they didn't ding us for that one either, but that one's monetized.
See and then getting hit so many times over that.
Well, you know what's funny? You know what, we have a ding against our channel right now. And we have a ding against our channel. We got it before we were monetized. We got it for it was like last summertime. They dinged us right before we got monetized. So we couldn't fight it. And it was a short that Eric posted.
A short?
Ready? A short. This is before shorts went like crazy, right? So it was a short that Eric posted with our 14-year-old, which he never said how old he was. And he's not like a really tall kid or really short kid. He just kind of looks like a teenager driving our tractor. And Eric was walking about 10 feet off our tractor. And the title was "Encourage Our Youth." And that was what it said. And he was walking along the side of him, and he said, "Hey, do you encourage your kids to do hard things?" Here he is. He was wearing a seatbelt, driving the tractor as a teenager. And they said it was against the policies because it put a child in harm's way. And Eric was like, "Are you kidding me?" That is what we got dinged for. So we do have another video. I wonder if I don't think I actually have my pig castrating video monetized. I refuse to try to get them monetized because they're still there, but I don't want to bring attention to them, even though I think they're great quality videos. I think it's a lot of good information in there. But the rabbit video was a labor of love for Eric because he really wanted to put that out there, because there were a lot of people asking. Yeah,
it is so important, because where else do you learn this stuff?
Yep.
And it's, unless you know somebody that does it all the time and whatnot, it's, how do you learn? You get a book and there's pictures, but you don't know the process and everything that's involved in it. And
exactly.
I wish so much that they would allow it just for educational purposes. That's all it's for.
Yeah. Yeah. I've thought about that kind of stuff too, because there's so many more things. There he is. There's so many more things that we would like to put on our channel, but we don't put a lot of stuff on there that are graphic, because we do know how to process all of our own animals. We believe that if you have an animal on your farm, that you should know how to process it. It's a responsible thing to do. So there is my other half. There he is.
Hello.
So you can see it.
How you doing?
Oh, pretty good.
Apologize for being late. Dallas traffic is lots of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he was saying he was surprised. He saw the rabbit processing video, and he was surprised it got on there without getting dinged. He said if it was on his channel, he would have got dinged. But that's.
Yeah. Every time a video or a live comes out, they're like, got the microscope on me.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I am very pleasantly surprised with the ability to have it up there right now, especially because we learned how to do this from YouTube, and we learned how to do a lot of the things that we're doing through YouTube, but we also had some hands-on experience with people. I mean, how do we really learn how to process a cow? I mean, didn't we just watch videos? I mean, we looked at videos for our chickens first, right? YouTube was our chicken video.
Well, when it came to larger animals, though, we had a younger gentleman up the street that was actually,
He's a hunter.
I don't know if I would say he was employed, but as a young teenager, he was a hired hand for the ranch, and as he got older, and he would travel to work back and forth on this particular road, he would see a lot of feral hogs, and so he would basically, because he enjoyed hunting, would call the owner and just say, "Hey, I'll be happy to bring my friends, and we'll go ahead and rid your property of all the feral hogs." And so the one day he reached out to us and said, "Hey, do you want some hogs?" And I thought he meant like maybe 1 or 2. And he came back with like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was so educational. Let me tell you, for a homeschooled family.
Yeah. And, and I don't know if Monica and you had already discussed this, but, we didn't grow up like this. So, I just kind of looked at it and I'm like, I mean, I could figure it out, but I really don't know. And he's like, well, let me show you how we do it. And then he just got in there and showed us how to piece it out. And I think pretty much any larger animal is like that. It's pretty much the same process. It's just, when they get big enough, like a cow, you just have to figure out how to maneuver them around. How to prop them up, how to handle them.
Yeah. We ended up in 2020 because we knew that things were getting kind of sketchy with processing dates at local processors and things like that. You weren't getting in. So we knew we had extra cattle and we were like, well, we know we raise our own meat. We know we raise our vegetables and things like that, but we need to know how to process one of these large animals, because what happens if one goes down and we can't take it into the processor, or if we need to fill the freezer because our family needs that meat. Yeah. So in September of 2020, we went out there as a family, and my sister and her husband came over. The kids were out there helping. My father-in-law was out there. We all went out there and we processed our very first steer on the ranch. Now, we had taken them the processors before, so we'd been through the process of getting meat back, but we had never done it on the ranch here. And we had a local guy who does a lot of hunters. So, it was hunting season. It was actually right before hunting season kicked in here.
Deer season.
Oh, deer season anyway. Deer season. Not, I guess, all hunting season really, but deer season, which is huge around here. And he said, "Hey, if you can get it done this weekend before deer season really starts, then I'll help you out." So the local processor, because he does a lot of the local deer and stuff like that. And so he didn't want to have it in there. He said, "You just need to take it and," what did he say? Quarters?
Quarter.
He said, "If you can quarter it out, I'll do the rest." Because I don't have, so I didn't have the ability to grind up all that meat. I mean, I have a grinder, but that would have taken so long. So he was amazing. He only charged us, bare minimum, gave us everything back. So we knew we gave him, over 300 and some pounds of meat, and we got everything back, all the bones and everything. And it was fantastic to be able to know that as a family, we did that together and we all worked as a team. And it was awesome. My daughter, who takes pictures, she does photography. She was out there taking pictures of it the whole day. Some really good candids, and just the process itself, very respectful. And so looking back on it, I'm glad. We didn't need a video for that. That was something that we have memories, and having those pictures just reminds us of how much we pulled together, and we know we can do something big.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I seen, people on homesteads first starting out that used to take their hogs in, and I seen them actually, because it was costing them too much and they couldn't get the feed. They were putting their animals down because they couldn't get them in to get them processed, and they were getting hit really hard in comments and stuff. It's you need to learn how to do this, but they were just starting out. They didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah, and that's hard.
I think that's the piece too that a lot of people don't know. If you haven't been trained or been through the experience of it, for us, piglets, as we all know, hogs in general, they're just very resilient and they like to breed. So there's a lot of little piglets that come along. And, when we first started out with small pigs, we were actually using pot bellies, and nobody wanted to buy them for eating purposes because it's kind of taboo. Yeah. Most people will look at pot bellies as only being pets. And so nobody would really buy them from us. But what we found in talking to some other people is that you can actually take them when they're little and just make the whole thing like a roaster, big enough for, a large family or a large gathering. Instead of having a 200-pound hog that you're trying to do over a Spitfire, you can take something much smaller and process that out. And instead of just putting it down and wasting it, I mean, it tastes the same. So
it's much more manageable that way too. When you learn how to do it on a smaller scale, then it gives you that confidence too. I mean, there's really so much confidence that came with learning how to do the smaller animals and then moving on to the bigger ones. The first time we processed a turkey, I was a little nervous. I was like, this is so much bigger than a chicken or a duck. I mean, this is a big animal.
And they get bigger. The ones you raise get so much bigger than the ones you go and buy at the store.
Yeah.
So they're like 10, 15 pounds.
Yeah, they were huge. And I was like, okay, this is a little nerve wracking. And Eric's like, honestly, he's like, it's probably just easier, isn't it? You have more room for your hands. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. But that's the best way to learn is hands-on. But if you can't, then I really feel like YouTube has such a great platform for that if they let it slide, if they let it on there. I mean, we get dinged for a teenager driving a tractor, not doing anything dangerous, mind you. He was driving very slowly with Eric next to him. But yet I actually have seen teenagers and preteens run tractors, drive trucks through their field. There's channels that I have specifically seen. And I'm like, how is this kid doing this? Yeah. How is this kid running his channel? And I don't think he's doing anything wrong. He's not doing anything wrong. But how is YouTube not dinging him versus a short that came on where Eric said, encourage your kids. So silly.
And like you said, it was before you got monetized, so you can't do nothing.
We really couldn't do anything. We had no way to really fight it because it was all automated. They were like, and you're done. It was it.
There used to be phone numbers to where you could actually call them. But now it's if you're monetized, you can actually chat with them.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And you almost got to know keywords to get them to, I'll have to give you to my supervisor. Once you start talking to supervisor, you can get somewhere most of the time. I'll put it.
Well, I've already decided if we ever get dinged again or we ever get in trouble, like they're threatening to take our channel down, I'm just going to reach out to you because I feel like you know how to get back more than the average person. I feel like you've disappeared and come back and disappeared and come back.
Yeah.
I'm like, that poor guy.
It's over really silly things most of the time. And it's like, how do I get, come on. He has to get up here every time I get up on here. They offer just silly things to where one time was playing something that was already on YouTube that was monetized, and I got their permission to put it on and everything, but I got in trouble for it. And I said, well, this is, well, I'm not going to say much now.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't bring it up. Don't get a chance of getting it on.
Anyways, I got past it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And right now, I just got off of the 90-day bad boy thing, but I still have that warning, the warning at the top of the page.
Yep.
And if you click on it, there's nothing there because usually there's a video of what you did. And tells you what the warning was about. There's nothing there. It's there.
Ours is gone. They completely removed it. And it just says I'm warned. The video, it was like poof, gone, just like it never existed.
Yeah.
I think that was the scary part for me. Cause I was like, they literally just completely wiped it out. Gone. Like there's no evidence, even in the behind the scenes stuff, that it even existed.
Well, I have evidence because you know how StreamYard, you can go for multiple channels. Like,
yep.
and he had it. He still has it on his channel.
Oh,
The
okay.
very same video that they got me on
Yeah.
is still on his channel.
It just
It's
doesn't
okay
make
over
sense.
there, but not on my channel.
Yep. Yeah.
It's silly.
Yeah.
But you just had a video out with cows getting out.
That seems like a daily occurrence here now.
And one of the things that you talk about was luring them with a bucket and training them that way. So you didn't have to tie a rope around him or kick him in the butt or her in the butt and whatnot. All you have to do is dingle a little treat.
That can become problematic sometimes because they get very anxious to get
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is, all the animals on our property, even the ones that we are planning on eating at some point, we try to demonstrate kindness to them every step of the way.
Yeah.
And at some point in time in our past, we used to flip calves that we would get from the auction and things like that. And you see a lot of the shockers that they use, and I understand why they do it. I'm not gonna get on them about that because time is money. They got to get all them calves through there, and they have 1,000+ cows that they have to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I can say is here on our ranch, we don't do that. And one of the ways that we trained ourselves with handling cattle is from Temple Grandin, which has a lot of material on YouTube and other videos elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just one of the things that we learned early on, that cows are smart and you don't want to scare them or run them off because they'll remember you for that.
Yep.
And we've had plenty of cows that remember me chasing them, getting mad at them.
Ask him how many cows he tried to rope.
You only need to do
one girl.
You only need to do it one time.
One girl. She hated him until we got rid of her. She hated him every single. This cow would come up to anybody. Now, she wasn't like the nicest Angus cow because she's a black Angus, and she was kind of like, I live my life. She was kind of like the cat. I feel like black Anguses are like the cats of the cow world. They love you. They want to come near you, but it's only on their terms. Like they come to you when they want something from you or they want to be petted or loved on, but then like they don't really
like
need
cats.
You. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're just like, they're like, yeah, I don't really need you all the time. So yeah, but that's what she did. As soon as she would come up to me, I would pet her. I would give her treats. She would not take treats from him. She hated him. Absolutely. Because he tried to rope her one time. It was awful.
Yeah, we've actually got a couple of videos like that, because again, we try to help people understand how to handle the cows. Mm-hmm. And most of our experience is from just doing the wrong thing. Yes. So we've learned along the way. And so I have another video of my bull actually that jumped the fence, and I had to escort him all the way back because he moves for 2 reasons. Well, 3 reasons, 2 of which I have control over. 1, treats. Number 2 is if I have the dog with me.
Yeah, the blue heeler, he hates him.
But the third thing that he is moved by is by the ladies.
Yeah.
So he just usually goes the wrong direction for me when he's interested in the ladies. So
yeah, he loves his girls next door. He has a bunch of girls next door that he likes to go visit when he's not supposed to.
Oh, that's another story, trying to get move one of them.
Yeah.
Treats probably don't work.
Well, it's fine as long as he's done his job. And that's what we did. Eric did a video. We were gone last year on a trip, myself and my daughter, my older son, and like all of my kids. So Eric was by himself, completely alone by here. I think it was last year when he got over. I think the year before he might have too. And we were gone on vacation. So Eric was by himself. And of course, it never fails. Something always happens. And the cow had moved next door. He had done his job. He had done his business. And so Eric had to walk next door, bring him out the front gate, bring him on the street, and bring him around the front yard. And he just followed a bucket because by then he was done his business. He had finished what he was there to do. He was like, thanks, peace out, ladies. And he just left like he was done. So,
the interesting thing about bulls, as you said, it's hard to get them away from the ladies. And that is so accurate. And last year at a different pasture we work off of, he hopped the fence to get with the ladies. And with this bull, I've never been afraid of him ever. We've had him since he was very young. We've handled him quite often to get him comfortable with the human touch. But when he was around this other gentleman's herd, and they did not have a bull, so there was lots of them in heat. You know, it's kind of funny. It kind of reminded me of being a young kid. You know, you can walk a certain way until you'd see the ladies coming, and then all of a sudden, you know, you'd stand up and put your chest out. Well, you know, the thing was that Solomon is his name, and Solomon is all black, and he's just beautiful when the sun hits him a certain way. But when he was in that pasture with all them ladies, and I got the dog after him, and he just would not leave. He was willing to stand his ground. When the sun hit him a certain way, he looked like a full-on bodybuilder. Like every muscle you could just see was tensed
he was
up.
flexing up.
he was flexing. He was glorious.
He was just looking off, you know, and it was like, wow, look at this guy, man. And then I thought to myself, this is pretty dangerous right now. I better try something different because he's not going to follow me. And I wound up having to get him lured by the women up into the other guy's corral, and then handle him from there. It was a whole ordeal.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot. But he's a good bull though. He really is. Like overall, he's becoming more mischievous. I don't know that word. He gets into trouble because I think we actually have a couple videos. Did you do a video on him getting into the stall? A short? He got into our tack room.
Oh yes.
He goes into our tack room in our barn and he just makes a mess. He just poops and gets his head into things, and he's just a mess. We have a short on our channel of him just getting into the tack room and making a mess in our barn. And the first couple times he did it, I was like, Eric, the bull, Solomon is in the tack room. He's like, he's fine. He's just, block it off. And I'm like, no, he keeps going in there. He's getting into stuff, and he's going in there, pulling out my pool supplies, like just junk that he doesn't need to be messing with. And I'm like, he's going to be breaking stuff and pooping all over everything. And that's what he did. He just goes in there. So I think 6-year-old Solomon is getting a little bit too nosy for his own good. So we might have to put him out the pasture a little sooner than we thought. Yeah. He's done a good job making babies, but yeah, when you get a little too nosy in things, it's maybe your time to move on.
You mentioned that you do sell some of your cattle.
Yeah.
Now, the stuff that you sell and the stuff that you keep, do you have a difference in trying to figure good words, like the juice, that they give you? How much of that, when you have to sell it, do you have to give them certain things?
No. So when they're really little, we try to do the bare minimum. I'm one of those people that don't really do that for my kids either. So I'm a little crunchy that way, I guess. And so we try to treat our kids and our cattle very similarly. Eric always says,
and the treats do work for the kids.
Treats do work for the kids. My kids worked for goldfish earlier today. It definitely works. No, but like when it comes to that, we give them the bare minimum. When it comes to my kids, I don't give them anything. But when it comes to the cows, I give them the bare minimum. And we do that for a very real reason. There's only a few things that they really we feel like they need at very young ages, because there are things that we can't control. They have the black leg, which is one of those things that you give them when they're younger, when they first start eating hay. But we try to keep it to a minimum. We do give them certain things. I mean, just like I want my kids to be healthy and make sure they're getting vitamins and things like that in the food they eat, we try to make sure that not only do we give our cows unfertilized hay and things like that, but we give them like worming each year. So we worm them twice a year, because we did lose one of our cattle because they were really wormy and filled with parasites. And we didn't know it until we had already lost them. and we almost lost his brother. So we do take care to make sure they're not like a worming cycle and things like that. But when it comes to selling them or giving them anything extra when we're about to sell them, we don't do anything extra. We would only do for ours, or for the ones we sell, we treat them exactly the same. We would never sell something that we would put anything extra into. Now, if the person wants us to do something, that's something that we could always do. There was a friend of ours that we were selling one of the young calves to, and she was like, I'm going to go buy the stuff. Can you go ahead and do this since you have a cattle shoot? We were like, sure, because she had seen a cow get sick from that certain virus before. So we were like, yeah, let's make sure we go ahead and get her taken care of before you take her back to your pasture. But yeah, we don't really treat them any differently. And we try to make sure that every animal that we sell is one that we would keep ourselves, except for the bad ones. We just sell the bad ones.
So often I've talked to the bigger ones, and they said they have to give them so much. I think it's the ones that are being sold for the big stores and stuff like that. And they said that it's like one after another that they have to give them the shots,
all the stuff. Yeah.
So usually with cattle, there's so many players, if you will, but the end game is very limited. So a lot of the little ranches, whether they're selling 2 calves or 150 calves, they're selling them basically to the next guy, and the next guy is fattening them up, and then the next guy is fattening them up until finally they're about 900 pounds. Once they're about 900 pounds is when they have to start documenting more of the regulatory type shots or medications that they're mandating that they have. So the advantage for us and the selling point for us is we sell living, usually the females. The bull calves, we'll keep them for a period of time, and each year we have a rotation that we're selling as beef or keeping as beef. And so what we sell from a legal perspective is why we process it through a registered processor,
Texas state inspected,
so that we can sell it legally. But we sell it from word of mouth, and we're not claiming that it's grass fed only, because we do feed them treats, but we explain to them, and our customers are typically return customers, so they can come out to the pasture and see exactly what they're eating.
They can see that they're 99.9% grass fed. And when we say that, we can be truthful, because the only time they get anything besides grass is when we give them those treats to move them from point A to point B, or they come up to the front, because we do rotationally graze them and things like that. So if we need to move them from one area to another, we do offer treats to try to get them to move, but that's simply so that we don't have to tenderize the beef before it gets on our plate. I mean, shocking them is awful. I hate it. I watched a guy do that on my property one time, and I definitely, I kicked him to the curb a little bit on that one. He came in, and, Eric was at work, and he came in and proceeded to tell me that my cows were sick. I had a girl on the property, a young calf that was on the property, a young heifer calf that had some issues in her throat. We had been to the doctors for her. She was fine, but she sounded like she was sick. She sounded like she had pneumonia, but she didn't. I had already handled it. And the guy came, he was buying like 4 calves from us, and he kept trying to talk me down, and I wouldn't go down too far. But I stayed firm with what I was selling them. And he walked out of there, and as he was getting ready to load them up, he was shocking them. Now, myself and my kids could have handled it. We were pushing them through the chute. They had been with us for about 2 weeks. When we were flipping calves, we were keeping them for about 1 to 2 weeks. They were on our property. They were getting used to us. They were watched out for us. We would inject them with whatever we need to inject them with to make sure that they were healthy. And we would watch them for 10 to 14 days until we sold them. And so the guy proceeded to kind of be mouthy, and he's being all aggressive and kind of pumping his chest up like Solomon did, actually. And he was walking through here like he owned the place. And when he was loading these cattle, he was shocking them. And I was like, no, I was like, we can move them. They're gentle. We can move them. And I was so mad. And as he was leaving, that already ruffled my feathers a little bit. But when we was leaving, he proceeded to tell me how my cattle were sick, and I really shouldn't be selling them for the price I was selling for, because it was too much. So fast forward about a week later, he texts me and says, "Hey, I'm looking for some more cattle. Do you have any more available?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, but they're heavy now." He was like, "I was just there like a couple of days ago, like not even a week ago." I was like, "Yeah, they're much heavier now." And I told him the price, and I upped the price on them, like doubled it. And he was like, "Yeah, that's a lot more." And I was like, "They're a lot more heavy now. Sorry, they're a lot heavier." He never came back. And Eric was like, "We just lost a customer." I said, "I don't want him coming back." And if he was going to come back, I was going to take his money. That's what I was going to do, take his money, because I wasn't playing with that dude, because he came in here and was very disrespectful by shocking them and treating them like that on my property. I'm like, it's one thing if I absolutely have to. If I can't move one, I'll consider it, but we don't even have one. So the one that I'm surprised that we haven't gotten dinged for yet is our branding video. Have you seen that one?
I think I seen it a while back.
It's a short. It's just a short. It's a really quick short. And we made the video because the calf was being obnoxiously loud. And so most of the calves don't holler and scream. And when he was doing it, it was a really good brand. But of course, you can hear the cow in the background. You can hear the steer mooing ridiculously. And we get some really nasty comments on that one. A lot of people that think they know better, and they're pretty ugly. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've got rabbits, and everybody thinks they're pets, or I'm just using them for their poop. How are you going to get your poop? And I said, they make little ones.
Yeah.
And oh, they're pets. You can't do that. They're not pets.
You sure can. And they're really good when they're canned too. If you can them up, put them on the shelf. Super tender when you open that can up later. Just saying.
You know what's strange about that, though, to me is just it's the taboo of talking about where your food comes from. It's just so bizarre. The idea of, even for me, if I'm at work and we're having like a group luncheon and we could all be sitting around for a company provided meal of chicken and everybody's all into it. But then if the conversation comes up about eating rabbit or eating a cow off of your property or something, it's like an immediate like disconnect of, well, no, I can never do that. I'm like, well, you're doing it right now.
Yeah.
You're eating the animal that maybe you didn't put effort into, but somebody did.
Yeah.
Or treating them nice.
Yeah.
Like, why are you being nice to something that you're going to eat? And I'm like, that makes no sense. To me, it makes no sense to be mean to something that I was going to eat. Would you rather me, be mean to it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's silly. Well, people always get on us for naming our cows. They're like, "You name your food." I'm like, "Yeah, it makes it taste better." I'm not trying to be a jerk, but really, but why? But I feel like there's more when you give an animal a name. You've now given it a level of respect as well. You've given that time and thought into naming it. Now you have a little bit more of a level of care for it and consideration. Look, I don't name all my chickens, but I don't eat my chickens really. I will if I need to, but for the most part, they're giving me eggs, but I'm not out there petting fluffy flufferkins and fuzzy bottoms and all day long. I'm like, give me your eggs. I just want your eggs. But I still care about them, and I'm making sure they're fed and they're watered and they're not being attacked and they have shelter at night. That's just part of it. But I will say that people definitely are a little bit more taken aback when they find out we grow our own food and not just, vegetables in the garden.
Okay. So. And there's another one. And there's some people in chat that's going to turn their nose up at it or whatnot. But you do spam cooking. I'll put it that way.
Oh, I did. I made my own. Yeah.
Like, spam.
Well, I tried it. We did a video on it and we had tried it. We'd never tried it before and it wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. So I made some of my own and we've used it a couple times for, we have breakfast, dinner. We call them Brenner. And when we have it, we'll make it sometimes. And it's not bad. It's another way to use the meat and the provisions that God's given us and store it up for later. Why not?
Well, I think, and again, that goes back to where we have this disconnect, and I don't know about Monica, but I know for me, you grow up hearing people say something about spam and they're like, oh, okay. But, the interesting thing is, for me, I try to eat as healthy as I can because I'm only getting older. I'm trying to take care of my body. And so one day I looked up, what are the ingredients in spam? And there was 6 ingredients. I was like, wow, well, there's not too many things left in this world right now that you can purchase that only have like 6 ingredients. And none of them were bad things. They were just normal things that you would probably have sitting around your kitchen.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's just this mindset. And for me too, when we did that one video, and it was two different videos that we did. The first one was we made products using spam. And then the second video was us making our own spam. Well, that first video, when we were making different things, I'll be honest with you, it was one of those, I just, going into it hesitantly to eat this spam because I just didn't know what to expect. But I think that's the case with most people when they're trying new things. They just don't know what to expect. And a lot of people don't like that, not knowing what it's going to taste like, even if it's something like rabbit. Mm-hmm. And I can tell somebody, well, it tastes a lot like chicken. And they're like, well, everything tastes like chicken.
Yeah.
And you can adjust the salt. So if you're buying store-bought spam and you're saying it's really salty, you can adjust the salt when you make it yourself. That's one of the luxuries, one of the benefits of making your own things and copycat recipeing from what's on, in the store. Last night we were recording for our podcast that I do with a couple other YouTubers. And one of the things we're talking about is making those simple changes. Just because you're a healthy person doesn't mean you shouldn't make changes now, because you may be unhealthy later. Like, age catches up with all of us eventually. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I like to do when I make my own taco seasoning is I don't add as much salt as it calls for. Now, does that mean I add salt later on? Maybe. But when I'm making a big batch of taco seasoning, I am not adding the entire amount of salt it calls for. I add half the salt, and I don't have to go to the store and get a McCormick pack of low sodium, because that's going to have a lot of junk in it that you don't want in your food.
Yeah. Replacement for the saltiness.
Exactly. And so I don't exactly. So I don't need to do that. I can do all of my, I can put all my natural ingredients in there, maybe some of my own spices that I've grown, my own herbs, and then everything else that is good, clean ingredients. And I'm not adding sugar in there or any kind of preservatives. Yeah, it's great. So yeah. And you can adjust all that stuff when you make your own, which is one of the reasons why I like to make my own.
Oh yeah. It's so much, and especially when you grow everything that you to make the spices and whatnot. Mm-hmm. It's so much better. Like paprika. Just the fact of it just being paprika.
Yeah.
And then I started smoking the pepper first. Ooh. Then dehydrating it, and then I've got smoked paprika, and I can't, regular paprika I don't like anymore because I love the smoke taste to it. And it's once you have that, it's like you can't go back to that other stuff.
It's true.
It gets stuck every once in a while. You have to bang the bottle on the counter, but after that, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, we have been doing our peppers for years. That's one pepper I haven't grown yet, is the paprika pepper. I haven't done that. I haven't grown one of those. I've been trying different ones, trying to do different, things to add to our collection of stuff. But yeah, it's so nice to be able to grow your own stuff, to add it to your, whenever I make dinner now, Eric's like, is this our own such and such? And I'm like, yes. So last night we had a chicken recipe with tomatoes, and he was like, is this our own tomatoes? And I'm like, yes, not our own onions, but our own tomatoes. And, we're getting there. I would love for one day to say that, my spaghetti sauce is only what we've grown. I just don't have enough garlic and onions yet. I'm getting there. I'm learning. But to be able to say that, and then to say all the spices were mine, oh my word, that would be amazing. That is my goal.
I hate buying garlic at the store.
I know.
Where I used to live, I grew the elephant garlic. Oh. And you go to the store and get these little bitty things, these cloves of garlic, and I'm like, you have to use 4 or 5 of those for 1 clove of the elephant garlic, and it tastes so much better.
See, I had elephant garlic this year and I didn't grow it right. It just died. So I need to try it again. I'm not quitting. I'm not going to give up on this. I will grow garlic here. Everybody says it's so easy. And I'm like, it's not that easy, people.
Yeah, down there, I don't know. But up here, we started in the fall. And then by next year, it's huge. But like I said, down there, that'd be a whole new ball game for me to learn how to be a gardener down there.
I'm still learning all the ins and outs of it. I did get a bunch of onions this year, more onions than I got them from the previous year, but they're all like really tiny. They're like this big. I got a couple that were like good size, like normal grocery store onions. But yeah, I need to really focus. That's one of the things I'm going to kind of hunker down with and focus on this year, because I know you can plant them in the fall for the garlic here. I just need to figure out when, like what's that window of time. So yeah, it's really rewarding to have all your own grown ingredients in a meal for sure.
Oh yeah, tastes so much better too.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're at the point here, so I'll go ahead and ask you guys, what do you have planned for your channel coming up? Any big things coming up?
Well, I know one thing in particular, well, 2 things really. One, a video that I'm looking forward to doing is last year, I guess it was early this year, we actually cut down 2 pine trees in our yard.
Yeah.
They were about 55 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
That was interesting because one did fall the wrong direction. So that was fun.
That was great.
But I've been looking for a way to mill the wood because I have some projects that I want to build in the house. And my dad was able to find a local sawmill, and the guy is able to cut trunks that are up to, I think, 28 inches in diameter.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. And he can cut anything, like any dimension he's willing to do. I even asked him, I said, is this the wood that's supposed to be like 2x4s and it's not? Or he just started laughing. He said, no, it's not that Home Depot wood. This is true to cut. Whatever size you give me is what I'm going to cut. So yeah, I'm hopeful to make, I want to make some benches around our kitchen table. And so I need a good 14 to 16 inch piece that I'll be able to get one piece instead of trying to putting them together. So that's one thing. The other thing is that Monica and I don't know if she had discussed the skill shares that we've done. Mm-hmm. Well, over in the Northeast Texas area, we've been working with
Jake. He's in here.
Okay, Jake, that's in here, and some other families, and we've been putting together some skill shares. And this is where we basically bring in some different speakers, and they're not, some famous people. They're just other people who have lived what they're telling you. And so they're sharing their experiences, but we do more than just a classroom setting. We also do hands-on stuff to where we show how to process rabbits, how to process quail, chickens. The first one we processed chickens and quail. And then Monica and Jake's sister, we did canning. Yep. While some of the other teaching was going on.
We did a can off.
But we wanted to show the difference of old school and new school. So we had the old school, canning.
With the pressure canner on the stove. And then I had the electric pressure canner sitting on the countertop.
Oh.
And we compared the differences and how long it could be until I opened mine and pulled out the canned meat versus how long it would take for hers to pull out her canned meat. So it was cool. It was only a little different there, but it was really awesome. Yeah. So we've been doing those. They've been great.
So, so that's what we're looking forward to, as well as finding, a location. So that's what we push out to the people is, if anybody knows of a location, we can gather the people as far as like the teaching and the skill share part of it.
We just need a place to do it.
And we just need a place.
That's rare to actually, especially on YouTube. There's so many people who claim they know stuff, never done it, but they read or they watch another video and they're experts about it.
Well,
And
there's a lot of keyboard warriors and so-called experts out there.
That's the good thing with, as again, I see Jake in here. Jake's the real deal.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the biggest confidence boosters I've ever received was the one class that we were teaching, and he introduced us. And after he introduced us, he said, y'all, these people actually live this way. And I was thinking, like, well, what did that mean? And then, like, I thought about it later, and I'm like,
it means all his chickens and ducks are his babies, and he doesn't process them.
Oh,
yeah, I'm calling you out, Jake. He's all hardcore in one of his videos where he goes shopping and he goes and gets his quail and makes himself a sandwich or whatever he's making, or his barbecue cook-off. But he is literally, I mean, the best dude. He is the best guy. But it's just so funny because I asked him recently about some chickens, and he was like, "Well, you know how we are." And Ann was like, "We don't eat them." It's the cutest thing. Just Ann's pet.
I've seen him one of his videos where he digs up a bucket and stuff that, of course, it was mostly hot sauce. He shows eating that hot sauce that was many years past due.
That was the one he just did, where he pulled out his 5-gallon bucket full of food.
Yeah,
that was the one his mom put together.
Yeah,
and it was like
awesome.
12-year-old bucket of storage stuff. It was awesome. It gave me encouragement because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this." I mean, he's eating salsa from 12 years ago. I'm in. I can do that. But yeah, so that's some things we've got going on. I'm going to put some vlogs out, hopefully, of our trips we've taken over the summer, over the year that we've been on. And yeah, just continue to do some more things here and sharing what we're doing. It's fun. It's a fun life we live for sure.
Lots of adventures.
And well, you want to give tell everybody what kind of animals that you do have?
Well,
on your farm,
we've got pigs and cows, and we've got, rabbits and turkeys, ducks, chickens. I think that's it right now, really.
Children,
yeah, lots of kids. And then we have a garden, so we grow as much food as we can for ourselves. We're very choosy with what animals we have because if it's on the farm, it's going to have a purpose. It's going to be on the payroll, and it's going to pay us back in some way. So it's either going to give us eggs or it's meat. So, yeah. So, oh yeah, Jake's collecting some eggs for me. Yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to go visit Jake and get some new eggs soon here. See what I can do. But yeah, we have a good time here. We really do. And we go live on Thursday nights. So we usually go and just hang out and chat with our friends because I feel like going live sometimes is like therapy. I get to talk to him finally because, working an hour away from here, it's like when he gets home, we're just going. So it's nice to sit down and have a little bit of one-on-one on computer time with him. But it's nice to be able to interact with everybody too on YouTube because it's been fun. It's been a really fun journey so far.
Yeah. And well, I want to thank you guys for jumping up here tonight and telling us about your channel and everything. And everybody in chat, make sure you head over. I'll go ahead and put their link in there again, just in case anybody's missed it.
Well, thank you for having us. I was super excited when I saw your email. I was like, oh. Because I watch you and I don't always interact. I'm really bad. I watch videos, but I'm really bad about commenting on things.
I do the same thing. I usually watch it on TV.
Yeah.
I'll go through on the TV. Unfortunately, you can't do nothing but thumbs up.
Yeah.
I would love if they had like pre-programmed like, hey, it's me, or hey, awesome video, or something like that.
Yeah.
But they haven't thought of that yet, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I was listening when you started doing your podcast on here, and I know you said on your podcast many times, this really isn't for anybody but me and my future family, and this is just me kind of rambling. But I will say you sucked me in, and I just started listening to them, and I'm like, I feel kind of like a fly on the wall. Like, should I be listening to this? I'm not really his family, but I kind of want to hear. So yeah, I was listening to you. I was going for walks and I was in the garden and I was listening to you on your podcast. So, thank you for sharing that though. You're encouraging people with what you're doing. So, we love your channel. I really appreciate you for having us and just doing you and keep coming back every time you get kicked off of here. Thanks for staying strong.
Good old. Unfortunately.
Yeah, staying strong and not getting kicked off for good. Because if you ever get kicked off for good, we're gonna be really sad. So
yeah.
But
anyways, I think 101 is live tonight at 9:00, and then we have 10 TV, which I'll go ahead and put her link. She's live tonight at 11 for those late night people out there.
Ooh, I'll have to check it out. I'm always late.
But make sure everybody heads over to their channel and subscribe and just hang out there for all day watching videos.
Well, thank you.
And we'll see you tomorrow on Jeff's channel, and then I'll be back here on Friday with another guest.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.